Hi, I'm Steve Bourie, and I'm the author of the American Casino Guidebook. If you're not familiar with us, please be sure to visit our website at americancasinoguidebook.com. Joining me today is the editor of the American Casino Guidebook, Matt Bourie.
How's it going, everybody? And also joining us today is Anthony Curtis from the Las Vegas Advisor newsletter. And we've done a few videos in the past where we've done a Las Vegas update on what's happening down there after the whole COVID-19 thing. Today is November 5th of 2020. So we're getting an update from Anthony today. How you doing, Anthony?
I'm doing good.
Good.
All right. So I think our last interview, we were just talking about, it was like 6 weeks ago or so. And since then, there's been quite a few changes going on in Las Vegas, some for the better, some for the worse. So before we get into the specifics, what's your take? What's the general, how are things looking on the ground in Vegas right now?
Well, it gets closer and closer to, approaching normal. That's the good news. The bad news being that it's really a long way from normal still. The rules continue to be sort of lessened. The restrictions are lessened so that more things can happen. For example, the last time we talked, there were absolutely no shows allowed anywhere. Now we've had several shows have now launched under relaxed restrictions. So 250 people can go into a venue now, whereas before it was only 50 and they couldn't run a show with 50 people. So now we're getting some shows back, including some of the big ones. Absinthe launched at Caesar's Palace. Blue Man is about to launch. It's rumored to be about to launch. In fact, we even wrote in the Las Vegas Advisor that we had gotten some bad information on that, but we think that they're pretty close. So things are coming back, but it's still, it's very difficult. It's very challenging for the casinos midweek. We've had a couple of places that have pulled their hours back, so they're only open on weekends, some big places, that being Encore and Park MGM. So, it's still challenging here.
All right, let me go back to your show question here, because we get the press releases and we read the articles about what's happened in Las Vegas, but you're much closer to it, of course. Now, I heard that David Copperfield was going to open, and Jabberwockies, and Brad Garrett's Comedy Club, and even Carrot Top is coming back with his live comedy show. So now they're saying they're going to have a maximum of 250 people, and that has to be 6 feet between parties for physical distancing, and they got to be at least 25 feet back from the stage. So, and you had Absinthe had open, and then I think there's one that was a country country rock show or something.
Yeah, X-Country.
So have you heard initial success for those two that opened? Because these others are going to start opening tomorrow. Right?
Well, first of all, let's go back a little bit. Those that you named are MGM Resorts International Productions. And MGM, which has been sort of the bane of a lot of visitors through, a lot of their fees and gouging and all, actually did something really good on this one. Is they stepped up and they opened up their showrooms, and that kind of paved the way for others. So, often when I talk to you or others, I'm always ragging on MGM, but on this time they deserve some props. They did a good thing. Now, whether or not they're making money, almost certainly not. I mean, we haven't heard any real reports on this. But when you think about it, when you know what you know about the way shows operate here, they're almost certainly got to be operating at a loss. So again, that kind of goes, a favorable thing, a nice thing that they did there to try to get the others to follow up. Who's going to be next? Yeah, the others are now starting to come on. We're getting Caesar's Entertainment shows. What's really missing is Cirque. We're not seeing any Cirque shows at all, although, Absinthe is very close on scale to Cirque. Blue Man is close on scale. So if these are going to open, we may finally see something with Cirque, but we, don't know for sure. The other interesting thing about this, and that customers need to be aware of, is that a lot of these places are now selling tickets only in two at a time. So you've got to buy a minimum of 2 or in groups of 2. So they're only selling them 2, 4, 6. Which, they believe is the best way for them to take full advantage of the capacity that they're allowed.
Now, we had talked about some of the restrictions with the 250 guests, 6 feet between the parties. Now, is that set up specifically by MGM? Is that their rules, or is that the county or the state's rules? Or do you know if that's how they're going that? Are they making their own rules for precautions, or?
That's a great question to which I doubt anybody has the answer. I mean, we really don't know. I think we talked about this last time too, that every bar you go into has a different rule. And they're all claim that those rules are based on what they're allowed to do, so that they're conforming with the Nevada government and Gaming Control Board mandates. But they're all completely different. So they're all reading them differently. They're all interpreting them differently. And I think that's what's going on in the showrooms as well. So it's too early. I haven't gone to a single show since. There's more comedy than big productions. You know, these situations are really more favorable for comedy shows. So we're going to see more of those. And I'm going to try to get into one or two of them to see what it looks like in there. But reading, anecdotal, reports and hearing things, it sounds like it's a different experience, and that everyone kind of has different rules that you have to follow.
Now, interestingly enough, I saw that the Venetian they're not bringing back an old show. They're starting a new show entirely. The This Is Christmas show. I saw it was what they describe it as, a holiday show with a, quote, stellar cast of Broadway stars and American Idol finalists. That's I think that's an interesting play there, that they're just bringing a whole new show in completely, which we'll see how it goes. I'm not sure if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but it's definitely an interesting idea.
Well, I'm sure, because it is new, I'm sure it's been tailored to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a valid point, yeah.
In that regard, it will be better. But you know what? They do that every year at Venetian. They bring on Christmas shows. And often they take what's already there and they morph it into something new. So this is just sort of a little bit different for them. They've done it before. It's not something that we haven't seen before here. But I do think that whatever comes out new is going to be, short term to take advantage of whatever advantages they can possibly exploit, given the situation. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't think any of them are making money. I think that they're doing it simply to pave the way back.
All right, well, one last question on shows, please, before we move on. And it's, do you have to buy your ticket? There's no box office. You have to buy your tickets digitally. And also, I understand there's something about if you want your refreshments, what is it, food or drinks or whatever, you have to order on an app or something.
Yeah, everything that we've heard about bringing things in. I mean, even all the way to the sports books. The sports books have signs up at several of them saying no outside food or drink. You can't bring it in. And for some reason, the refreshment thing seems to be a stickler with everybody. So again, I can't say, broadly, this is the way it works in Vegas because they're all different and I haven't checked them all out yet. But yeah, to hear that there are restrictions on food and beverage does not surprise me. To hear that most places are going to have to, or not, if not all, are going to make you order online. That's the way it is in lots of different things. Look at online gaming numbers. Everybody's going to online. People don't want to do things in person, at least at this time.
All right, and then so now while we're on the subject of because there's a toss-up. There's some good things going on in Vegas. There's some bad things going on in Vegas. So we're going to continue on to the good news now. Circa just opened, I believe, or it's opening this week. And that one it's an interesting concept. If anyone's not familiar, you have to be all guests and anyone in the property has to be 21 and older, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, and what is everybody thinking about over there? Because I know down here in Florida, I have several friends that are very excited to go visit and think that the 21 and up is a great idea. How's it being received in Vegas?
Well, it's interesting. I just did an interview on this a couple of days ago, and I made the point that it's sort of like the non-smoking. Whenever there's an announcement that some casino is going to go to non-smoking, like they did at Park MGM, or that a new non-smoking area is going to be set up, there's a group of people that just start doing cartwheels. They just love it. They hate smoking. And if they could abolish the whole thing, that would be great. So they're happy about it. We're seeing the same thing with the 21 and over, that there's a subset of visitors out there that really hate the idea of kids being in casinos. So whereas the first time this was tried, which was, maybe 15 years ago, maybe longer, closer to 20 at Bellagio, when Bellagio sort of tried to go to all adults by disallowing strollers in the casino. I mean, that was a direct shot. They weren't saying that you couldn't come in under 21, but that no strollers were allowed. And Bellagio was relatively new and everybody wanted to go in and see it. So in a way, they were excluding families. And there was a real uproar against it. There was a lot of pushback and Bellagio had to rescind that that rule. Well, now, fast forward 20 years, and everybody's we're hearing nothing but applause about it. And it's not just Circa. Circa opened with this rule. The Cromwell on the Strip that used to be Barbary Coast reopened with the same rule, 21 and over. Mm-hmm. And so far, I've heard nobody go, "This is an outrage. This is terrible." On the other hand, I've heard people applauding it. They're happy about it.
Well, I think it could be sort of, I don't know if generational thing is the right word, but I know like when I was a kid, Vegas seemed to be much more oriented to families, and there was a lot of stuff you could do there for kids. And in the past few years, 6-7 years or so, it's sort of, they've gone more to focusing on the nightclubs and the non-gaming revenue. So it could have something to do with that it's just, people are just sort of used to that now, that Vegas isn't really thought of as a family-friendly attraction anymore.
A little bit. The family-friendly, people don't realize that the family-friendly Vegas lasted about 1 year. I think that was 93 or 94 when MGM Grand opened up with the theme park. And that was just, oh boy, it's family-friendly in Vegas. Well, there's always been things for kids to do. I came to Vegas back in the 60s when I was a kid with my family. And there are all kinds of things for me to do. And me and my brother, we would, play miniature golf, and we would go to the pools, and we would do things. So Vegas has always had things for families. But they went to this kind of smoke and mirrors thing in the early 90s of family friendly. And that really fizzled in about a year to a year and a half. And then it lingered a little bit. And then they started saying, okay, no family friendly in Vegas. But, it's kind of been the way it always has been. There just never has been a specific adults only. And that's what's new about Circa and the Cromwell right now.
Well, while we're on the subject, let me ask you, how exactly are they enforcing that? Do they have like a security guard at every entrance checking IDs, or?
Well, they do, because right now they've got people at every entrance checking temperatures. And specifically at Circa, they are checking IDs. They're checking IDs downtown at all of the Derek Stevens properties. So this is another point we've made in the Las Vegas Advisor, and I make when I do interviews, is that you really got to walk around and make sure you got your ID in Vegas these days, because more and more places are carding. And that's more of an outgrowth of the problems we had with the violence, the fighting in the streets, the fighting in the casinos. That's a whole other subject, but it was real and it was a problem here. They're starting to clamp down on it more. But at certain places like Golden Gate, the D, Circa, you literally have to show ID at the door.
Yeah, I think now that you mentioned it, I think you had mentioned that in at one of our last interviews, that I think it was, at that time, it was all of Fremont Street. Even to get on a Fremont Street, you needed an ID.
Yeah, well, when you enter Fremont Street from either side, now you can come into Fremont Street from the casinos, and there's not people carding you there. But if you enter from either end, the west end or by the plaza, or the east end by Fremont Street District, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be someone there making you show an ID. It's strange.
I wanted to ask, I assume that you've been to Circa when they opened last week?
Yeah, I went to the opening. They had a black tie opening, and I was, fortunate to be invited to that and be able to attend. I haven't been back yet, just because of, deadline pressures and things like that, but I intend to over the next couple of weeks. I intend to spend a lot of time there. But no, I walked the place. I got a really good look at it. It is absolutely spectacular. All the way from the sports book, the 3-level sports book, to, which is just, you've never seen anything like it, to the big swim area. They call it Stadium Swim, and they describe it as a pool amphitheater, because it's got big screens around it there too, to show broadcast sports and to use during concerts and things like that. So it's similar to the way Red Rock and Green Valley Ranch were. Like, these were strip level casinos, strip caliber casinos picked up and dropped in the burbs. This is like a strip caliber casino picked up and dropped downtown.
Now, let me ask you, is the giant TV on the pool as cool as it looked in the renderings and all that?
Yeah, the giant pool, the giant TV in the pool area is really amazing. And that's where Derek Stevens addressed the media. And you got a real look at how this is going to work. Derek was up there talking, and there were a lot of people, so we were quite a ways back, but he was, larger than life on the big screen. And the sound system is terrific. It is very high tech and very cool. Now, on the negative side, we're hearing stories already of high prices there, and of inability to get no way to get your parking validated and things like that. I can't say that's so. This is just third party reports that we've been getting, but I worry a little bit that they might be pricing themselves out a little bit based on a little bit of what I'm hearing. But it is beautiful.
Okay, now we're talking about pricing with Circa. Here's something we got to ask about. And I read this in your Las Vegas Advisor. You mentioned this. They were promoting the 99-cent shrimp cocktail, but evidently there was a catch to it that you found out about. Can you tell us about that?
Well, actually, the way we wrote it was that there was no catch. Meaning, well, the catch is, here's the catch. The catch is that it's on, because there's another catch potentially after that. The catch is the shrimp cocktail is 99 cents. It's the Golden Gate style shrimp cocktail, just like there used to be. But it's 99 cents only from 3 in the morning till 5 in the morning. So from 3 to 5 only, it's 99 cents. All other times, it's $11, which is ridiculous. I mean, there's no way in the world that thing's worth $11. 99 cents, it is an unbelievable value. You know, I mean, that shrimp cocktail is worth $5 or $6. You know, if it a true retail value of that, maybe, you know, maybe 7. 99 cents, it's unbelievable, but it's only from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. daily. So as Dee Castleman, who's a senior editor here, wrote, you get a great deal on shrimp, except you're probably sleeping. The other thing, though, we've heard, though, when we initially reported on it, is because one of our reporters was down there and actually got it. And he reported that he bought 3 of them with no problem. He didn't have to buy a sandwich on the side or anything. But now we're hearing from other people that they've been told, even during those hours, that it's 99 cents only if they buy a sandwich or some other food. So that's another thing that we have to see if that qualifier now exists down there.
Okay.
Which would make it not such a deal, you know, unless you're really hungry and you want to get the shrimp on the side.
Right.
But
Well,
we're
see,
talking about, that's Saginaw's Deli. It should be some good food there.
yeah, you and I are old school. We're talking about this stuff with Matt here. Matt's so young because we're, you know, with the MGM Grand Theme Park, that was way before his time. The 99-cent shrimp cocktail.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up. In case anyone's not familiar, the reason we're making such a big deal about this 99-cent shrimp cocktail is it used to be a big deal down on the Strip. It was Golden Gate, right? It had it for years.
Downtown, yeah.
Or yeah, downtown. It was they had it for years and years, and then finally it disappeared, and it's now back, but with all these caveats attached to it.
Well, it was one of the greatest promotions in Las Vegas. You know, when I did the first Las Vegas Advisor in 1984, believe it or not, we opened with the top 10, and it was number 4 on the top 10 for 50 cents, and it was an incredible shrimp cocktail. I see people ordering 6 and 7. The most I ever saw, one guy ordered 10 of them. So for a $5 bill, he had 10 of these shrimp cocktails, and nobody blinked an eye. You know, that's the way they did it back then. Then it went up to 99 cents. Then it went up to $1.99, then $2.99, then $7, then, you know, on and on and on. And so it was very cool that Circa would bring this thing back, even at those, you know, those late hours. So what? If that's what you got to do to get it, that's what you got to do. It was very cool they'd bring it back for 99 cents. I hope they don't, you know, muck it up by saying you got to buy something extra, because that takes it all away as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
Okay, so we've gone over the good news. We've gone over the mixed bag of the good news, bad news with the shrimp cocktail. Now, unfortunately, we've got to cover the bad news. I think the big headline here for the bad news is that there's no fireworks display on the Strip this year for New Year's.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the final kind of kick in the teeth for 2020.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of things are not as they were. A lot of things you can't do that you know would have been able to do at this time last year before all this stuff hit. One of them is going to be the big gathering on the Strip. That's just not going to happen. It was announced last week that there will be no fireworks, first time in 21 years since the turn of the century when it all began. Next to follow will probably be there's going to be no party downtown, although it's already been announced that there will be a fireworks display that will be hosted by the Plaza. And it'll be a smaller, you know, scaled down, because obviously it's not like they did at the Strip, you know, shooting off of 7 different casino rooftops and things like that. But the next thing, which has not been officially said, but I'm sure they're going to not close the Strip, because that's what they've always done on New Year's Eve, is they close the Strip and people pack it like sardines. And there's no way that they're going to let that happen. So, you know, when you talk about bad news, it's about things either not coming back, you know, like some of the casinos that haven't opened yet. There's still a handful of those, a half dozen of the big ones. It's certain restaurants that haven't reopened. It's certainly the shows as we started. And now, of course, you know, no fireworks on New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and continuing with our bad news here, we understand that Caesars Entertainment has brought back parking fees.
Yeah, Caesars. That was a shocker to me. That surprised me. I did not expect that anybody would bring back fees so quickly. But there's a little bit more to it with what Caesars is doing. First of all, they're not excluding their own customers who are staying there. They're not excluding locals. By excluding, I mean they're not charging. That's what I should say. They are excluding them from the charges. The only ones who are being charged are people who don't have Players Club cards or only have lowest tier Players Club cards, which are people from out of town. A lot of this, I think, was done to discourage the violence, and people were, parking in the garages for free, and then going into the casino or going, outside of the casinos and starting trouble on the streets. This whole violence thing, what's it all about? The fighting in Las Vegas? Well, it's the same as any other city. Wherever people are living in big cities, they're seeing the same thing that we're seeing here, and all you're doing is getting the people from, both sides of the fence, the right wing and the left wing, coming to Vegas and meeting on the streets, and that's what's going on. But I think that's what they were doing at Caesars. Whether they're going to continue to do this, I think is going to depend on if the others follow suit. So if all of a sudden we see MGM Grand and maybe Cosmopolitan and whatever like before charging again, then these fees are going to stick. If they don't, then there's a good chance that they'll be rescinded after maybe after the new year.
Okay, and then I think one of the last things is that Park MGM just announced that they're going to be reducing their hotel hours during the week. They're going to close at noon on Mondays and reopen for weekend business at noon on Thursday. But they said it's not going to affect the casino. It's not going to affect any of the restaurants. Now, Encore had done something similar last month in October, and the Palazzo had announced it in July. But if I'm not mistaken, those were completely closed, weren't they? All the restaurants in the casino were closed too?
Well, not at Palazzo. Palazzo was their big hotel tower. Mm-hmm. So Palazzo was kind of the first to do this, to open and close, but it was only the hotel tower. So absolutely, the casino was not affected at all, although it is affected when nobody's staying in the tower. I walked through it the other day, and it was a ghost town in Palazzo during the midweek. It was open. There were dealers at tables. Most of them were shut down, but there were open tables with dealers. Hardly anybody in the entire casino. Now walk through the walkway there, the attached walkway to Venetian, and Venetian was a pretty robust scene in the middle of the week. So, well, Palazzo didn't shut down completely. It had the effect of almost shutting it down during the weekdays. Encore is tight as a drum. I mean, they're just tight as a drum. They're shut down all the way, except on weekends, and all the action is in the Wynn. Now, my belief is that Park MGM is doing it that way, that they are also going to shut down everything in the casino during the weekdays. I might be wrong about that, but it just happened, so I'm not sure. But my information is that they are going to be open on weekends only, and that includes the casino.
Oh, okay, because the press release we had seen originally said the hours for Park's MGM casino, pool, and restaurants will not be affected, but it's possible that was, I think, that was from last week, I think.
Pool and restaurants. So they're probably going to have their restaurants open, and everybody is welcome to go to the pool. So I just think that, whatever they're doing there, that doesn't make sense. I'll have to look into it, Matt, to be honest with you, because if they shut down their hotel, then nobody's going to be there to go to the pool. So that's a little bit odd. I'm going to have to take a look at that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought too. When I read it, I thought it was strange because generally you have to be a hotel guest to go to the pool. And if the hotel's not open, why would the pool be open?
Well, most of these pools now, they've turned the pools into revenue generators. So usually you can call up and make a reservation. And even if you're not staying there, you can pay a fee and go. So they may be trying to keep that alive. But, I don't know. I'm not going to act like I know that. I'm going to have to look into it.
Okay. Now, one question I have for you is I know that right when all the casinos had first opened, we were sort of talking about if the table game limits had gone up at all. And I know you had said that they didn't. And I actually just went to the Hard Rock Hotel in Hollywood, the Giant Guitar, last night with some friends. And we were all walking around and they wanted to gamble. And I noticed that on a Wednesday night, the lowest minimum I saw was $25. And that seemed pretty high to me. So I just wasn't sure if Vegas had ended up doing that also, or this is just a question just because I had it in my head from last night.
Yeah, if I said they didn't, you must have got me at some time right in the beginning, because I think I've been saying from the start they did, and they have. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Anywhere you go, minimums are up. So if you're going to a place like Caesars or the Wynn,
well, maybe you did say they were up, but I just remembered it wrong. But I was shocked. Even an Ultimate Texas Hold'em table where you normally got to bet 3 to 4 times your bet was a $25 minimum. I mean, you're cranking out $75 a hand at the bare minimum, and that seems crazy high to me.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of, lowest level being 25 at the big places, lots of $100 tables, and even more, 500. We're seeing on some of the Carney games like UTH or 3-card, we're seeing $15, but we're still seeing 25 on roulette, 25 on craps. Now, a lot of the places that used to have 2 and 3, you're getting mostly $5 now. So those 2s and 3s have gone up to 5. The $5 places, there's lots of 10s and 15s. So you're seeing that kind of stuff. Now, on the other hand, you get a place like Downtown Grand, which has instituted dollar blackjack, similar to what they're doing at Oyo, the way they used to do it. Oyo was formerly Hooters, and they started that at Hooters, and they kept it through at Oyo, and they're doing the same thing at Downtown Grand. So I have 2 places in Vegas with dollar blackjack. Those are not good games. Those are even money on blackjack. If you're betting less than $5, 6 to 5 if you're betting 5. So these are not good games. But when you're talking $1 and $2 a hand, you can fade the higher house edge, and your EV is not even as bad as would be on a good $5 game. So just like Vegas always is, one place does one thing and another place reacts and does it another way. Downtown Grand is promoting pretty hard with some pretty cool things, discounts and if you get a room there, they've got one of the best packages of match play and all kinds of stuff. So Downtown Grand's a place to keep your eyes open for if you come to town.
I know I've always liked that place. They've always had pretty crazy promotions. Like I like to play craps, and a lot of times they were doing field bets where they paid triple on 2 and 12, which made it a break-even bet. They weren't charging a vig on the buy bets. They've always had cool gambling promotions there. Yeah,
they're in a tough spot. They're always been in a tough spot because they're not on the main drag downtown, so they have to do something. The same as when it was Lady Luck. Lady Luck was always famous for their promotions. Steve, talk about not knowing. Matt's going, Lady Luck, what was that? Right? You might have been in diapers back when Lady Luck was open. You were in diapers but they're off the main drag. They're not on Fremont Street, so they've got to promote harder. And they got a really good prime rib there, a real good deal. If you use a promotion, it's $8.50. They got this good dollar blackjack game now. So it's worth a trip.
Before we finish up, I want to go back one last time and go over this hotel situation, the casino. On the Strip now, every single resort casino is open. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're all open.
Okay, so there's nobody closed anymore, major on the Strip.
Except for partial closures, like we said, at Park MGM and Encore. But no, all the others are open. But what we're seeing is they're opened a lot of them are open partially, meaning, they're open, but not all of their restaurants are open. Certainly not all of their shows. And some of them, like the Venetian and like Palazzo and Planet Hollywood, not all of their hotel rooms are open, but their casinos are open on the Strip everywhere. The ones that aren't open are off-Strip places like Palms, Rio, Eastside Cannery, the Fiestas, Main Street Station downtown. Those are the main ones that have not opened at all.
Yeah, that was the last thing I wanted to ask on the locals casinos. Is there any rumors that some of them are going to open? Because I think I've been reading articles saying that they're sort of content to keep it the way it is for now, and they're looking way in the future to open those properties.
I think it's been pretty much stated that most of these that I mentioned, 2 of them are Boyd's, 2 of them are more than 2 of them. Several of them are station casinos, and we've heard from them in earnings discussions saying that they're not looking to open these up this year. The Palms is the one that's the most surprising, but not really, because they were having problems at the Palms before all this stuff. They
had dumped so much money into that to redo it when they bought it that it was
they put a ridiculous amount of money into it and they weren't getting a return on it. So them keeping it closed is just an easy way for them to stem the bleeding over there.
Mhm.
Okay, so I guess that concludes our look at the Las Vegas casino update. If people want to get more information on you and your publication, LasVegasAdvisor.com, also Huntington Press, where would they do that?
Well, you just said it. You know, LasVegasAdvisor.com is the best thing to go online. We update this all the time. We're running a blog there called Vegas and the Virus. And that blog's had, I don't know, 130, 140,000 views. People are paying attention to it because we update it at least once a week and tell you everything that's happening. So everything that we've touched on here, we go into great detail there about the particulars. And just based on some of the questions you guys asked, you know, we'll update some things there as well. So, you know, just the website as always.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you, Anthony Curtis, for joining us today. If you liked the video, don't forget, leave us a comment, let you know what you think, leave a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, click on the bell, turn on all notifications so you never miss any of our other great videos.
Yeah, thanks again for watching and best wishes for good luck in the casinos.
Thanks, guys.